Hi, I'm Russ, and I'm going to be introducing Shelley on her brain injury and what has happened to her with her injury. And Emily is a college intern, speech intern, that's going to be with us, kind of just having with the whip and stuff, make sure we're good boys and girls. All right.
He's joking about the whip.
I hope. All right, Shelley, can you briefly describe your brain injury for us?
Yes.
Sorry.
I was involved in a car accident on June 16th, 2004, so it's been a little over a year, and I was living in Kansas City. I had just dropped my 6-year-old son off at preschool. Well, he was 4 at the time, and I was on my way to my best friend's house, and as I was driving through an intersection, a man was busy talking on his cell phone and did not see that he had just ran a red light and hit me as I was passing through. I was told that the police said that there were no brake marks at all. My car was what stopped him, and we were both going about 45 miles an hour.
Oh, jeez.
I was in a coma from that for about a month, depending on what number I was on the Glasgow scale. The doctor in ICU in Kansas City gave me a 20% chance of living, and from Kansas City, when I started to come out of the coma, I was emergency flown, I guess, by a jet to a rehabilitation hospital in Boston, because my dad works at UNH, so my parents were living in Durham, and a Boston hospital would allow them to have closer contact with me. And they've been my whole support team ever since. And the biggest problem is that my son is still living in Kansas City, so that's the hardest.
So what was your life like before your brain injury?
I'm actually looking at my brain injury now as a positive thing, because my life before the accident was not going very well. I had been working at Citibank for 5 years, and my ex-husband and I had been planning on moving to New Hampshire to live in Durham. And
was it your husband at the time?
No, we
okay.
We were divorced. We were only married for about a year and a half. No, we had been divorced for about 3 years when we were talking about moving. And we had been talking about the move for probably 6 months, and about 2 months before the accident, I had already quit my job at Citibank and everything, and he decided one day that we weren't going to move. So I was having a really hard time trying to decide how I was going to make a living, and what I was going to do, and I was upset that we weren't going to move. So going through a lot of hard times and situations. So when the accident came, it kind of abruptly changed all of that. And so I'm just looking at this new beginning that I have as sort of a blessing in disguise, because ironically enough, I was able to move to New Hampshire. So I'm looking at it as a good thing.
Has this changed your social life a lot?
Yes. I'm trying to get back into kind of the same level of social life that I had when I lived in Kansas City. I had a lot of friends, and I knew a lot of people. I went out a couple times each week. We had joint custody, so on the nights that I didn't have my son, I guess I can say this one too. I went out to bars and did a lot of socializing, and I talked to a lot of people, and now I'm living in a place where I don't really have any friends like I used to, so it's an adjustment. It's hard.
What brought you to Kansas City? Were you born there?
No, actually, we moved around a lot. My father has gotten, I guess, every degree possible, and so each time he would move up to the next level, he went to a different college to get a degree. I was transferred. I was offered a job in Kansas City, and I moved to Kansas City, and that's I started working at Citibank, and I was there for 5 years. So,
Were you going to college at the time or before?
no, I'm old. It's been probably 6 years since I've been in college, 6, 7 years. So I've been working that whole time.
Do you miss it?
Do I miss college? No, not at all. My parents teased me that I was majoring in socialization when I was in college.
Okay. How's your life been affected since your injury?
It's definitely changed a lot. The more that I'm still progressing quite frequently, and with each progression, once I am able to do something else, I'm also able to realize what I'm missing from what I used to be able to do. So it's really a constant struggle to kind of get those things back that I enjoy doing.
Could you talk about that a little bit more when you say the things that you used to be able to do? What was what was it like coming out of your coma and realizing that you were lost?
I really don't remember. I actually don't remember any of the rehabilitation that I received when I was in the hospital. I was out of the coma, but I don't remember a lot of it.
Was that partially due to your injury?
Oh, it was totally.
Because I had my car accident also, and where I was hit was in the back of the head where my memory stored. So they used to tell me, "Your name is Russell. What's your name?" And I'd say, "I forgot," because it was that bad. And it takes a lot of rehabilitation. And
yeah, and my brain, I've asked doctors, just like you said, where my brain was hurt, and my brain was sort of shaken. So it was mildly hurt in all areas.
Okay.
So did you have to relearn how to walk, talk?
I had to learn how to walk. I guess I'm told that I had to relearn how to walk and go to the bathroom. So there were a lot of basic things that I learned while I was in the hospital, and I had speech therapy, occupational therapy, and physical therapy. So it took me about 3 months to get back. Even took me a couple months to learn how to walk.
How did this affect you emotionally?
At the time, when it was all happening, I didn't really know what was going on, and I'm actually still friends with my occupational therapist that I had in Boston, and so I was just enjoying her so much. I called her when doctors would ask. I would say, "Oh, she's my occasional therapist," because I didn't understand that what she was doing was actually helping me. I just thought we were talking and socializing. So that helped me not really think about things that I don't think I was able to think about them.
What about belief systems like a religion or going to church and things like that?
I grew up, I was always very active in church, and growing up I would go 3 times a week. My parents taught Sunday school, and I was very involved in it. I don't have any memory of anything that I learned in church, so I just recently started going to a small group the name of it is Celebrate Recovery, and it's interesting because I was talking to one of the leaders a couple weeks ago, and I told her that this experience was kind of my first time being in church again. I was relearning everything. So,
has anything changed, do you think, about what you believed before and what you believe now?
I think my beliefs have gotten stronger. When I hear stories about, when doctors talk about the state that I was in and my chances of recovery, and I went back to visit my doctor in Kansas City that was in ICU, and he couldn't even talk to me. He just stood there with his mouth hanging open that I was even standing there talking to him. And my grandparents, that side of my family, they had their whole Sunday school class praying for me when I was in the coma, and so my belief has gotten stronger in believing in Jesus and what prayer.
I think when something like this happens, you just become a lot more aware of all the people that are really in your life, Not just in your life like you see every day, but that really in your life, that really care for you.
Yeah, and one of the caregivers that I was talking to, that he is here, he was talking about his change in friends, and he's a caregiver, he doesn't have a brain injury, but he was talking about friends that he used to have, and then he was in the grocery store with them one day, and they were, you know, complaining about having to stand in line so long, and he said, you know, I know people that would love to stand in line for an hour. You know, so many of the people that I work with can't even walk. So it really does, it makes you really take notice and appreciate things in life.
It does a lot.
Definitely. For me, from being here, I remember just the other day I was walking in the rain and it was cold and I was like, oh, this is so awful. And then I was so thankful. All of a sudden these thoughts came into my head and I was like, no, I'm thankful that I'm walking.
You could walk and
I don't
feel
care
that it was miserable.
And I don't care that it's cold. I'm
just glad I could feel it.
I really let go, and I was just so thankful for my legs that worked and my
You'll
feet.
be
And
thankful what you have.
yeah.
When you reach that appreciation for life, you really become a happier, more content person.
Yeah. You begin to see what there is in life instead of what there isn't.
Instead of focusing on the negative, you focus on the positive.
Because I could get up every morning and say, yuck, I hate getting up in the morning. But then you got to get up and start moving and saying, I got to do this, and I've got so much more to live for. And it's sometimes hard to do when you have a brain injury. And
I actually have kept a journal of the good things that happen. You know, when something makes me happy, I write it down and I write the date. So when I do start feeling down, I pull that out and go back and I look at that and I think, oh, well, a year ago, you know, it made me happy when someone said hello to me. And it's a reminder that you really have to appreciate.
It's a great strategy.
What are your biggest communication challenges now since your injury?
It's hard sometimes when I try to communicate what I'm thinking or share a thought with someone, I don't express it clearly. And, you know, in my mind, I know what I'm trying to say, and my words are sometimes jumbled. And, you know, the person just kind of looks at me and doesn't understand, and it frustrates me, and I think, why don't you understand what I'm saying? So the hardest part is just for me to realize, be able to relate to a person that hasn't been injured and use words that would be everyday words for them.
Do you find that coming to Stepping Stone has helped you a lot?
It has helped me a lot, and I've gone up and down in the desire to come here, and when you know, I really have to remind myself of the good things, because it really does. I'm amazed, and my parents even, you know, when I leave, I just can't stop talking about all of the good things that happened, and they're little, you know, they seem little to them, but to me they really make a big difference. And then when I go through the feelings of I don't really feel like going today, there's really nothing for me to do, my parents remind me of the things that I said just the week before, and then I think, oh yeah, you know, I may not want to go right then, but I'm always thankful.
When you come, there's always so much to do and so much to learn, even if you don't want to learn it. You hear it and it still sticks in your mind, and you say, oh yeah, I remember that. How has being at Stepping Stones made an impact on your life?
One of the biggest things that Stepping Stones has done that I have been trying to really focus more on recently is that Will, for example, has really made opportunities possible for me to put myself back out into the community, and you know, I've started my own business back up again that I had in Kansas City, and he's done things like given me the opportunity to work with the staff, and you know, he got me hooked up with the child care at the beginning of the year, and that brought me through the hard time of missing my son. And it's little things, but to me, it's little things for them to do, but for me it's made a big difference in my own progression through getting better.
Since I've seen you come here, it seems like you seemed a little confused at first, but as time goes on, it just seems like you're learning so much more from everybody that's sharing with you, that it's just making you see, I can do this again, and just just bring out the good in
you. You really
you.
do learn from other people, so even when I don't feel like there's anything that I need to do, just going to a group that even I'm not specifically interested in, once I'm there, I learn from other people, and I always think, wow, I'm always surprised when I leave here.
I agree with that feeling.
Yep, I do too. Totally.
One of the things that I want to start telling people, especially new members, new potential members that come in, is it's kind of like your first day. It's kind of like your first day of school.
Yeah.
You know, you're intimidated because you don't know anyone, but they really tell people to give it a month, and that's really important to do that.
But being here to me is like, it's like family. It doesn't matter who you are.
Once you give it time,
yeah.
right? You just have to.
If you're here one day,
it's
a little
nervousness.
Yeah, it's a little overwhelming at first, but if you just give it a chance, you feel it's just like being with family, because everybody's your friend here, and it's really.
Yep. And everyone can relate to you, and you can relate to everyone else.
What does being brain injured mean to you? Has it made a big impact on your life of different?
It has made a big impact, and I feel like I'm better off now that I have a brain injury than I was prior to the injury, because a lot of things that before I had the brain injury were just, well, that's just her personality. She's impatient, you know. She doesn't like vegetables, you know. Those were just part of my personality. But now, since I'm going through therapy, therapy focuses on those things, and they really teach you how to overcome those. So I feel like I'm a lot better.
How's it been with people like your family? Have they accepted the fact that you have a brain injury?
Oh, definitely.
And do they help you with your rehabilitation and things like that?
Absolutely. My family has been my whole big support team of 2 people, but I wouldn't be alive today.
We got SteppingStones now too.
Right, but if I didn't have my family, I wouldn't be here to enjoy SteppingStones.
How about socially, since your brain injury? How have you been able to get along with people socially since your brain injury? Has it been a big put down, or have people been helpful?
It's been, well, again, it's progress. You make progress, and the business that I had before the injury, I've started it again, and I actually have a space in the MUB that I sell that I'm going to start selling next semester. And I had my kind of trial day this past week, and it was wonderful. I mean, I got to talk to students, and it made me feel young again.
Sounds good.
So, going back to the question, what does brain injured mean to you? Do you feel like you carry that around with you, like on a daily basis? Does it play a role in your life?
When you wake up in the morning, do you feel, oh God, another day? Or do you wake up and say, today I'm going to do this, and this?
Yeah, I focus more on all of the things that I have to do, especially now that I have sort of 2 jobs, I guess. But I guess when I first wake up in the morning, I think, I hope I don't have to hear the words brain injury today, because I feel like I'm a better person now than I was before the accident. So the words brain injury, it's such a misconception.
Slap in the face.
People just don't understand, and when you hear brain injury, they think, I can't imagine what my ex-husband tells my son, that I'm stupid and I can't do this and I can't do this.
Ridiculous.
And I really wish that the word brain injury was better understood. Kind of like a broken arm. It needs to be better
doesn't
accepted.
Affect the person that you are. It's an injury. It's like a physical injury.
It's kind of a one-time injury, and people need to learn to be able to say, I had a brain injury. And while doctors, will always have one, but there should be a different term. You had a brain injury, and now I have X. I'm still coming up with a cool name. But it's something, you learn how to deal with your challenges, and every human being has challenges. So it's just something that...
And I want to tell you because this is what I feel, is that people can say all these bad things. Oh, you have a brain injury? Oh, you're stupid, you're whatever. And you can say, well, you know what? The biggest disability I've found is regular people, because ignorance is the biggest disability I've ever seen. Because how many people don't know what happened to you, but they can criticize you?
Right.
They can't say, oh, you had a brain injury? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And
they don't know what it means. Like, I make the comparison to a broken arm. Everybody knows what a broken arm is, but a brain injury is so complex and misunderstood.
There's so many different things,
that it really, a brain injury just turns you into a different person.
Because you and I could both have a brain injury, but depending on where you're hit in the head, that's a big thing too. I was hit in the back of my head with my memory stored, so I had a lot of rehabilitation with that, but I've had a lot of rehabilitation, but we have to keep doing what we have to do to keep our life in the right track.
Yep.
What are some of the goals that you have set for yourself at this point? I know your radio station, your radio job, that's really important for you.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that what the business is?
No, can I do a little advertising?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
Yes.
It's called Fabulous Findings. Oh, I don't have my card. I have a card downstairs. I'll get you.
Oh, awesome.
But I actually, before the accident, it had the same name, but I sold jewelry. And I'm changing that now that I'm going to be selling at UNH. And I'm still kind of coming up with a specific theme, but it's cool stuff, different. I need to learn. Actually, you could help me learn how to know the events that are going on at UNH, because I want to, each month I'm wanting to have a different variety of things offered. Like in January, I've already planned out January. I'm going to have 2 sections, one for Valentine's Day and one for single survival.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you can either, buy things if you're single or buy things if you have a boyfriend. So it's things like that each month it'll be a different theme.
And it's not just jewelry, it's all sorts of...
No, it's, all sorts of cool things that I...
And I'd like to talk to you too about that, so I can know different things different cards I can make. And
Sure.
So that'd be helpful.
So that's...
And actually, going back to the goals, I haven't filed yet, but my biggest goal is to get my son back.
Good deal.
And then, to drive, I can't drive, so I have a lot of goals for the next 6 months.
But that's still something else you can work on. Maybe if you can get maybe a counselor or something that can help you, so that you can find other means of transportation.
Oh no, I've already got my car all picked out on vehix.com.
Okay. Well,
so I don't need counseling. I just need a driver's
right.
license.
Just need a license. Okay, that's okay. That's cool. You can go to Exeter Hospital. They have a program for that.
I'll be getting a license in the next month. I've already made
cool.
steps toward that. Thank you.
Good for you. That's exciting. All right. Well, is there anything else that either of you want to throw in as we close? Any closing remarks?
I want to ask you, how have your friends been before and after? Have you found that after your injury that the friends that, even like maybe best friends, are just not your friend anymore? Or have you got more new friends?
I have new friends. I've been able to kind of not replace, but
add on to
the brain injury didn't really have anything to do with it. It was the move. I mean, I moved halfway across the country, and I woke up from the coma, and my best friend was there, and she was showing me pictures, and I said, "Oh, that guy's really cute. Who's that?" She said, "Well, that's your boyfriend, Shelley." So it was things like that I didn't even know that I had. So, but. And I've gone back.
Blessing in disguise.
And I've seen everybody a couple times, and so they look at me and they think that I'm fine, and they're like, "Oh, congratulations!" The last time they saw me, I was in a coma and I had 12 tubes sticking out of my body. So it's the distance more than the brain injury.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that was a wonderful discussion.
Great stuff.
And you have to tell everyone to come to the MUB.
I will.
Of January.
I will.
January?
I think this spring semester starts like January 16th or something.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
So thanks, Shelley.
So
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks.